Executive Manager, I have fulfilled your request with the specific requirements. I have compiled a comprehensive target package for the opposition we have encountered, alongside the notes the performing manager has left regarding each stage. Pay close attention, as I may not have the fortitude to perform this task again. The initial encounter of the railway features remnants of the G Corporation. They are physiologically composed similarly to Gregor. They are weak to Blunt, Lust, and Wraith, resists Pride. Heathcliff and Ishmael will primarily be your main combatants. Merceau and Honglu are useful in physical damage, but lack Sin affinity. The commander is capable of sustaining a great number of Rupture status. Rampart Command and Onslaught Command can apply both 8 Rupture potency and 5 count effectively. These status come guaranteed with unbreakable coins. Accumulation would be catastrophic. Do not allow a Sinner to be afflicted by a high potency and count of Rupture. That is all. Manager's note. Not bad for the first fight. This should be easy. Macron / Japanese katakana su / Macron. The second encounter is inconsequential. They are weak to slash damage, with vulnerabilities to Lust and Gluttony. Ryoshu is optimal. Enemies deal sinking damage with unbreakable coins. Another Sinner must redirect these attacks to allow Ryoshu to practice her art on Alda uninterrupted. That is all. Manager's note. It is neat that the unblockable coins force you to play along with the mechanics of the enemies, instead of just overpowering them. Close parentheses. As Ryoshu would say, ICL, TSW, NB. Encounter 3. Abnormality name. Blubbering Toad. Resistant to all physical and sin damage types. Vulnerable only to envy. Recommended Sinners are Sinclair and Don Quixote. All other Sinners will be for the sake of preference and Sin resource generation. The creature will mainly use sanity damage as a method of attack. A specific attack designated as Eyeball Weight will be advantageous to clash against. Overpowering this attack greatly reduces its defenses. This specific challenge only entails the utilization of the provided ego in the beginning of our journey. Sanity damage will apply negligible damage to Sinners. The provided egos are immune to corrosion. The worst outcome is a panic. It seems that the manager has forgotten to disable non-standard egos. A corrosion has occurred. Prepare for friendly retaliation. However, it is inconsequential to the outcome of the engagement. This enemy possesses no tangible threat to the Sinners. The true danger of this encounter is a real-life mental attack the manager will have to endure. The duration is substantial, actions repetitive. To recite the note the manager has left. This is such a fucking waste of time. Why is he so fucking tanky? Greater than, open parentheses. Encounter 4. The N Corporation Inquisition. Recommended damage types, Blunt and Pierce, Sloth and Gluttony. Employ Ishmael and Otis as your main offensive units. Initiating the engagement with Ishmael and Otis's ego will provide a significant tactical advantage. Ishmael's ego passive will provide her with +2 clash power on advantageous clashes, and Otis shall receive a 30% damage increase so long as she does not take damage. Take extra consideration when attacking units with unbreakable coins. Note that the enemy possesses negative coins. The negative coins will not provide accurate predictions as to who can win engagements. This quirk will provide some degree of unpredictability. Victory is assured, but the enemy will be enduring and patience will be tested. Manager notes a request for the termination of life functions, assumedly due to the extended duration of this encounter. Translation. Please end me. Why are they so fucking tanky? An image of a wilting rose. Encounter 5. Alleyway Watchdog. The Watchdogs can shock attackers discharging its pole. Otis needs to be unharmed for maximum damage potential. Redirect her elsewhere. However, the Watchdogs has an unbreakable coin attack that has enough attack weight to hit all Sinners. This eliminates any chance for Otis to continuously possess her 30% damage increase. Her presence in this battle will not be optimal. Utilize Honglu in her place. It will be in our best interest to discharge the enemy by striking at its pole. However, the Watchdogs will always have the ability to deploy 5 offensive maneuvers per turn. Dodging or a sacrificial Sinner will be a viable tactic, as it allows you to forego defense in order to allow your 5th Sinner to discharge the telepole. Encounter 6. KQE-1J-23. Begin the battle by activating the ego for Otis. She will avoid unbreakable coins. Allow Don Quixote to sustain damage on unbreakable attacks as she possesses the ability to heal herself. Gregor should be applied in a similar manner. Ryoshu's adverse to blunt damage type. She will be in peril. Yisang will apply attack down along with the occasional Gloom Pierce attack. His ego also synergizes well with Otis, providing haste. Additional haste ensures conditional activation of the additional damage on her second skill. An attack will transpire that captures one of our Sinners. It is recommended that Gregor enters captivity. Ensure the prior activation of his ego. The healing and protection applied will be pertinent when he is in critical condition. At some point, the heart of the city will be vulnerable to attack. The heart is weak to Pierce and Gloom, but does not have any Sin resistances. Any attack with a Gloom affinity or a Pierce attack type will be very useful. This is only available for one turn. You are urged to exercise your commanding role and ensure the destruction of this target within the allotted period. This cripples the enemy's abilities. That is all. Manager's note. Lock TF in ! The stupid fucking heart attack is annoying as fuck! Free my boy Gregor. Open parentheses. Thai character no nu apostrophe underscore close parentheses. Thai character no nu. Encounter 7. Headless Ichthys. Stomach has a multitude of attacks that can apply binds and disrupt your flow of battle. Destroy as soon as possible. All manner of damage is acceptable except for Blunt and Gloom. Wrath, Sloth, and Lust have some degree of effectiveness depending on the area struck. Wrath have some degree of unreliability based on the state of its sack. Rodion, Sinclair, and Otis will be sufficient in applying damage. Don Quixote and Gregor for damage mitigation. However, this abnormality possesses some degree of haste. Utilization of Yisang or Merceau's ego is recommended for the management of its speed. Most of its organs are breakable. Focus, isolate, and destroy. Encounter 8. Everything there of an Inquisitor. Physical vulnerabilities to Blunt. Sin vulnerabilities to Envy and Wrath. Heathcliff and Ishmael will be beneficial. Don Quixote can still provide damage with her Envy and Wrath sins. This is a group fight that does not possess the chain battle mechanic. Focus on one enemy to kill as it depletes the available skill slots the enemy has. The gimmick they possess is based on their instinct. They gain attack up per instinct per turn. However, they lose instinct if damaged. Honglu and Faust's ego will be ideal for the ability to damage multiple enemies, which will make them lose instinct. The gimmick will check for the value of instincts at 2 points during the battle. One at the start of the turn to apply enhancements, and another happens at the end of the turn to verify the state the enemy will be in at the next turn. During the aggressive state, the attacks will have self-healing properties. During the defensive state, the attacks will deal SP damage. Use Faust and Honglu's ego often to drain their instinct before the turn ends to keep the enemies at a defensive state, alongside losing the bonus attack up and the protection from instinct. A recommended tactic is to dispatch the middle Inquisitor first as it bears the most skill slots. Then manage the remaining two that can only use a single skill per turn. Use this moment of weakness the enemy has to recuperate for lost sin resources in preparation for the next battle. Encounter 9. K-Corp security units. Checkpoint security are weak to blunt physical damage with no notable sin weaknesses. Class 3 K-Corp units are weak to slash. They also bear weaknesses to pride and wrath sins. Note that the enemy will employ intermittent usage of defensive skills. Ignore the defensive unit and focus all attacks to dominating the attacking units. First phase will be crowded with weaker K-Corp security units. Use this phase for the generation of sin resources. Faust and Honglu's ego can deal a great deal of damage against the usual security. However, class 3 units will require slash attacks. Plan accordingly. Manager's notes. I am about to fall asleep, dude. There is no fucking challenge. This is just me listening to fucking video essays and moist critical while I fight through tanky units with my fuck-ass challenge run. Encounter 10. Slithering Inquisitor. Weaknesses: Pierce, Slash, Sloth, Wrath, and Gloom. Do not fully engage in the Snake Inquisitor first. Eliminate the Hounds for the increase in flexibility to coordinate an effective offensive against the Snake. However, remember that the arms possess a passive trait that will regenerate itself if the other arm is still functional by the turn end. Both arms must die together. Should both arms be broken at the same allotted period, another phase of the fight commences. At this point, the performing manager's sanity seemed to have dwindled to a point of incoherent rage. I shall perform a reciting of the notes they have left behind. Read the fucking passive. I hate this gimmick. The fun fact about this fight is that the unbreakable coins can't stagger you, but the semi-permanent poison will. This was miserable. I felt that poisoning myself in real life would have been a better experience. Station 11. Energization. This is just the same battle from stations 5 and 6, but done so at the same time. You expect me to invest more time into the same challenge again? You must be mad. Manager's note. Fuck this. Station 12. Chromer. Blunt and less damage types receive a 50% reduction in damage. All other attacks perform similarly in this phase. Against the Dreamer of Human Wholeness, it is similar. However, Pride and Wrath Sin attacks also gain a 50% effectiveness in damage. During combat, Sanity is an important resource. Offset her dodges as to not lose it unnecessarily. Note that the phase in turn does not immediately end when her HP reaches 0. She forces the round to continue by refusing to drop her HP below 1. Prepare to defend against the rest of her attacks for the turn during this event. Do not let this oversight cost you one of your units. Combat against the Dreamer of Human Wholeness is simple. Focus on the Maw, as it has more debilitating attacks and can execute units below a specific HP threshold. The tactical advantage of the premature destruction of her arms do not outweigh the advantages of attacking her Maw. Merely defend against them and do not let the low amount of damage be a factor of intimidation. The dynamic of the fight shifts towards your favor when she drops below 50% of her HP, as her resistances drastically weaken. Attacking the Maw shall be the main source of damage. Defend against her and remain capable until you are presented with the event to trigger a stagger. Use this opportunity to apply damage and break more of her parts. Speed manipulation is key. Yisang or Merceau will be ideal. Manager's notes. The initial excuse they had for unbreakable coins was to, quote, show off enemy animations and to add further density to the combat visual. But having these on year 1 enemies who do not have that philosophy in mind and possess slow and drawn out attacks really took a toll on my patience. Final encounter. My form empties. Ignore the lesser abnormalities as they will regenerate every turn. Their main purpose is to apply afflictions that disrupt your ability to clash against the main abnormality. Losing clashes would mean a transfer of karma to the victim. As long as the minions are still alive, the abnormality will transfer any karma it accumulates to any of its allies. Any unit accumulating 108 karma will die. There is no need to exert effort on their destruction. Instead, focus should be directed to constantly break its murti for the generation of its karma. Adequate karma management will be essential for success. The murti is weak to blunt and lust. Heathcliff and Ishmael will be optimal. This is the last encounter of the railway. There is no need to conserve resources. You are permitted to expend all available sin resources for the completion of this task. Merceau and his eagle will bind enemies and provide flexibility for our sinners to intercept any clashes. Do not lose clashes to targets with karma. After its minions are dead, the final phase will commence. In its final phase, winning clashes does not apply karma to the statue. The only way to introduce new karma is to have your sinners act as a conduit. A viable strategy is to purposely allow your sinners to be struck in order to generate new karma, and then reapply to the abnormality by striking it. Counter skills and appropriate judgment on clashing is viable. Should the manipulation of karma prove to be insufficient, an event will present itself to stagger the abnormality. You may then reduce its HP to 0 to circumvent the karma mechanic. That is all.